Alright, Hare Krishna. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class. Thank you for coming. Asking for blessings of senior Vaishnavas. I can say something of use and try to share some things from my limited understanding of the teachings of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna. We're reading from Canto 1, Chapter 19, Text 14. The chapter is entitled The Appearance of Shukadeva Goswami. So repeat after me. Tasyaiva me gasya paravaresho yasakta chittasya grihesha bhikshnam niveda mula dvijasapa rupo yacha prasakto bhayamasudate. Word for word. Tasya, his, eva, certainly, me, mine, aghasya, of the sinful, para, transcendental, apara, mundane, isha, controller, the Supreme Lord, vyasakta, overly attached, chittasya, of the mind, griheshu, to family affairs, abhikshnam, always, nirveda mula, the source of detachment, dvija sapa, cursing by the Brahmana, rupa, form of, yatra, whereupon, prasakta, one who is affected, bhayam, fearfulness, asu, very soon, tate, takes place. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the controller of both the transcendental and mundane worlds, has graciously overtaken me in the form of a Brahmana's curse. Due to my being too much attached to family life, the Lord, in order to save me, has appeared before me in such a way that only out of fear I will detach myself from the world. Please repeat. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the controller of both the transcendental and mundane worlds, has graciously overtaken me in the form of a Brahmana's curse. Due to my being too much attached to family life, the Lord, in order to save me, has appeared before me in such a way that only out of fear I will detach myself from the world. Purport. Maharaj Parikshit, although born in a family of great devotees, the Pandavas, and although securely trained in transcendental attachment for the association of the Lord, still found the allurement of mundane family life so strong that he had to be detached by a plan of the Lord. Such direct action is taken by the Lord in the case of a special devotee. Maharaj Parikshit could understand this by the presence of the topmost transcendentalists in the universe. The Lord resides with his devotees, and therefore the presence of the great saints indicated the presence of the Lord. The king therefore welcomed the presence of the great rishis as a mark of favor of the Supreme Lord. Hare Krishna. So we're continuing to hear this first canto. It's basically, the whole first canto is basically an introduction before Shukadeva Goswami starts speaking the message of the Bhagavatam. And this is the 19th chapter. of the first canto. So it's leading up to that beginning of Shukadeva Goswami's teachings, which begins in the second canto. So Maharaj Parikshit here is speaking, and there's a lot. It's a really nice verse. Actually, there's a lot to learn from it. Maharaj Parikshit is saying that the curse is actually directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Is saying the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the controller of both the transcendental and mundane worlds, has graciously overtaken me in the form of a Brahmana's curse. That's an interesting wording there. That the Personality of Godhead has taken the form of this curse. And then he goes on to say that it's because he was too much attached to family life that the Lord arranged this so he will detach from family life out of fear only. Obviously, Srila Prabhupada speaks in the purport that Maharaj Parikshit was born in a family of pure devotees, and he is a pure devotee, so it's an example for us to follow. He probably wasn't really afraid. He's just maybe if he was afraid, it was just because of the pastimes of Krishna. But he's fully absorbed in consciousness of the Supreme Lord, and so he's probably wasn't attached to family life like in an ordinary sense. He's been associated with the Lord personally from when he was in the womb, and so he's not an ordinary personality. But we can learn. Oftentimes devotees speak in such a way that ordinary people can learn from it. So that's what's going on here in the verse. So the main points that when I was thinking about it, when I was reading and preparing for the class, I was thinking about this point that like a pure devotees see all these difficulties as directly the mercy of the Supreme Lord. That's the main point that I'm getting from this verse. And we have a reading group. We're reading through the first canto, and there's another point where a devotee in the first canto was seeing something very challenging as directly the mercy of the Lord. Can anybody recall, anybody who is in the reading group or anybody else in the first canto, when a devotee, something kind of extreme happens to that devotee and he takes it as directly the mercy of the Supreme Lord, and he takes shelter of Krishna? Rupa? Bhishma Dev? In what sense? The battlefield?
He says it is Krishna's mercy.
I suppose there's many examples actually. I have one in mind, but there's probably many. Yeah, Bhishma Dev. What was the calamities? He had arrows. He was lying on the battlefield, that's a very nice image of Bhishma Dev lying on the battlefield, and then the Lord comes to him with the Pandavas, and everything was arranged for him to see the Lord as he left his body. Yeah. Anything else? Queen Kunti. Yeah, that's a famous one. I was going to speak about that verse a little bit. Queen Kunti has a famous prayer. What is it? It's really nice wording. In English, she says, "May these calamities come again and again, because by these calamities I get to remember you, and then by remembering you, I won't see repeated birth and death. Those really nice words. And she goes on to say she says that like someone who is materially opulent, like wealthy, she lists a few things like like good birth, wealth, and strength, and like physical appearance. She says people who are wealthy with these things can never call out to you with sincere feeling. That's a really nice verse. So this is a theme. This is a theme to note in the Srimad Bhagavatam. This distress, when the devotees are put into distress, to increase their remembrance and their dependence on the Lord. So yeah, Queen Kunti is a really good example of that. That's really nice. Anyone else remember from the reading group? Chintamani?
Saying that for a rich man to reach the kingdom of God is like treading an elephant through an eye of a needle.
Yeah, that's a Bible reference, right? So, what is it? For a rich man to reach the kingdom of God is more difficult than to put an elephant through the eye of a needle. Yeah, it's good. It's good. There's a lot of good themes and lessons in the Bible that are very similar to the Vaishnava teachings. I was thinking about Narada Muni. That's the one I had in mind specifically. And does anybody recall that one?
When the mother leaves the body when he was only 5 years old,
yeah.
That was a blessing to walk into the forest.
Yeah.
Self-realized.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Narada Muni, he was just like 5 years old or something, a little boy, and he had served the devotees. That his mother was serving the devotees, and he got to serve the devotees who were absorbed in hearing and chanting the glories of the Lord. So he heard them, and he got attracted to them, and he served them, and he got their mercy. And then, like shortly after that, his mother got bitten by a snake, and it's very like not very emotional. Like the Bhagavatam is like she was bitten by a snake and left, and then Narada, and the next verse is like Narada. So I just decided to leave, like and just like wander the world and to find the Lord. Basically, it says specifically, I took this as the mercy of the Lord that my mother had left the world. So this is a transcendental position to be able to take these very difficult situations that mostly revolve around leaving your body or a loved one leaving their body. That's like pretty much the theme of the Bhagavatam, the message of the Bhagavatam. Who is it? Chaitanya Charan, when he was here, he said that the Srimad Bhagavatam isn't a bedtime story, but it's a death time story. It's to hear the message that you would like to want to know, and you want to hear it when you're going to leave the world, to be prepared. So it's not just like novel reading and to go to sleep nicely. It's a very serious message, and that's Maharaj Parikshit is in that situation. That's the whole setup of the Bhagavatam. This is spoken about what should I do now that I'm going to be leaving my body soon, and how can I best prepare myself for the next life, or like that. So that's that Narada Muni. He went on to he went on to travel around, and he wound up next to like a lake in meditation, and the Supreme Lord then came to him in his meditation, in his heart, he saw the Lord, and then he disappeared from him, and he spoke to him that from just a voice. He spoke to him with just a voice. So he said that you're not ready to quite yet to be in my association, but soon you will be. And then he left, and Narada Muni, in his previous life, he couldn't focus again on the Lord, even though he was trying to. So then he just kept with his practices, and then it said eventually in time I left my body, and then he got a spiritual body when he left that body, and then it describes how he became Narada Muni. So we hear, it's really nice to hear devotees speak about how they came to Krishna consciousness. So this is like Narada Muni's story of how he came to Krishna consciousness and how he got in contact with the process. Let's see. What else was I going to say? Yes, so relating it to our current times, also we can see Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga is described in the 12th canto as an ocean of faults. It's an ocean of faults. It says Kalir Dosha Nide, an ocean of faults. Everywhere we look, we're swimming in an ocean of calamities and distress. And so this verse we can train ourselves how to see these things. It won't be easy to. We can maybe at first, and there will be challenges, of course. But this is training us, preparing us. How do we see these calamities? How do we see these difficulties? And I like to meditate on this, that actually Kali Yuga is everything about Kali Yuga is actually a blessing. So it's because like Queen Kunti's prayers, she says that when the calamities come, then we can remember Krishna better. When everything is going smooth, it's harder to remember Krishna because we're doing okay. But Kali Yuga, there's so many opportunities to remember Krishna. There's so many difficulties. It's very hard. I find it very hard to enjoy in the current situations. You can try to turn off your phone and disconnect from the political turmoil in America and the virus that's going on. But it's very hard to just ignore all these things and just try to be happy. So this is actually our great fortune. So I like to say that the backdrop of Kali Yuga, the darkness of Kali Yuga, it makes Lord Chaitanya's mercy more apparent, more prevalent and more apparent, more easy to access. So that's what I've been meditating on. Why does Krishna come at the end of this Dwapara Yuga and then right away Kali Yuga comes? Like why not have like Satya Yuga so we can just like chill out and meditate on Krishna's pastimes for like thousands of years? No, we don't get that. We have like short lives, misguided, always confused, but this is the situation that we get to remember Krishna's pastimes. But in a sense it's favorable because we won't be distracted by the opulences of Satya Yuga. We won't have much options for enjoyment. So it creates this like perfect storm to achieve Krishna quite rapidly because of the situation. So that's my understanding of why Krishna would have Kali Yuga coming after he appears straight away. This is what we're reading in the Bhagavatam, that Sukadeva Goswami, Maharaj Parikshit is going, just going through this beginnings of Kali Yuga, and he has to chastise the personality of Kali, and all these bad symptoms enter into the world. And then, so this is why that there's the verse in the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavatam that explains that this Bhagavatam is as brilliant as the sun, and those who are in Kali Yuga will get light from this Srimad Bhagavatam. So yeah, we can try to start seeing all these things by meditating on verses like this, that everything in Kali Yuga is actually the Lord's mercy. Like in this verse, like I said before, the Lord, Maharaj Pariksha is saying, the Lord has taken the form of this Brahmana's curse. So we can also see that Krishna has made this arrangement also for these symptoms of Kali Yuga, and then and there's actually a verse in the 9th canto of the Bhagavatam right before the 10th canto begins. I think it's like the 5th to the last verse of the 9th canto, and Krishna says that he appeared and performed all these pastimes just so the people in Kali Yuga could hear the pastimes. There's a verse directly saying that he like, and I was thinking that like this is us. We're in the Bhagavatam. When I read it, I was like, it said like the people of Kali Yuga will get to hear about me. So it's directly in the verse, and so we are those people of Kali Yuga that get to hear the message of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So the Bhagavatam speaks about us too. We're in there. So yeah. What time is it? 8. Just speaking then, just about the message of the Bhagavatam, and the whole 9 cantos is just to prepare us to hear about Krishna directly. And I just wanted to say we were reading in the ashram yesterday about the pastimes of Krishna in the 10th canto. It's really amazing. Like I was just thinking that I love the Srimad Bhagavatam so much. It's so entertaining and captivating, and it's so out of this world. There's like the stories in it are just like, it's any type of entertaining story that is written, like Harry Potter and all these like adventure stories. What are the Lord of the Rings and all these things? It's like they're actually quite insignificant compared to the stories of the Srimad Bhagavatam. We were hearing like Krishna in Dwarka, that he has like a Sudharma assembly hall where there's like, what is it? There's no symptoms of like the 6 symptoms of material life, no hunger, thirst, being tired, old age, something like that. And so Krishna hangs out in this assembly hall with his associates, and there's like jokers telling jokes and entertaining Krishna, and musicians and all these things, and they discuss serious things for the Yadu dynasty. And it's explained that Krishna, so Krishna in Dwarka, he has 16,000 wives and 16,108 wives, and so he expands himself into all the different palaces, and he has all these different activities that is going on simultaneously. But the members of the different palaces, they only see one Krishna that at the same time. And so everyone thinks that they're seeing Krishna, but Krishna is expanding. And then when he goes to the Sudharma assembly hall, when he's walking into the hall, then all the 16,108 Krishnas merge into one, and then he walks into the assembly hall and he speaks with his associates. And so Narada Muni, he got, so most people when they're in Dwarka, they can only see like one Krishna, but Narada Muni got a special glimpse of that. He got to see multiple Krishnas. Krishna showed him, he got to go into one palace, and then Krishna received him in a certain way, and then he walked into the next palace, and then Krishna, as if he didn't see him before, Krishna welcomed him again and had a different address, and he was doing different activities, and then again and again, and Narada became overwhelmed and bewildered by this experience. So this is the message of Krishna. This is the message of the 10th canto, these personal dealings of Krishna. But to get there, we start gradually with the 2nd canto up, speaking of how Krishna expands himself into the 3 Purusha avatars, Karna, the Kashaya Vishnu, Mahavishnu, expanding the universes out of his pores, and then going into each universe as Garbho the Kashaya Vishnu, lying on the ocean with and the lotus flower sprouting out, Lord Brahma on the top, and expanding himself as Kshiroda the Kashaya Vishnu, as a super soul in all the hearts of the living entities. And then explains how to meditate on this aspect of the Supreme Lord. So to get to the 10th canto, that's why the Srimad Bhagavatam is better than all these other stories, is because it actually manifests to you in your heart, and it actually becomes real, and you can keep going from deeper and deeper into it. And it's not just a novel story. The process of complete realization of the absolute reality that we're a part of, the eternal reality that exists, whereas the other stories are just mental concoctions of one little insignificant living entity who created a story for some entertainment value. It's much different, and it has a much different effect on your life and your consciousness. So, yeah, I think I'll stop there. If there's any thoughts or comments or questions, I keep it kind of brief. And, yeah, it's that one. Yeah. Yeah, you can ask. I can repeat the question.
You mentioned that books like Harry Potter and other books say nothing contrary to Krishna's pastimes. And at the same time, I was just thinking about that verse in Bhagavad Gita that says that anything that's amazing in the world is but a spark of splendor from Krishna. So even in nature, in the amazing ways, we get it to the writer of H.G. Giridhari who wrote Harry Potter, because it's the bestseller and many people were attracted to it. So that spark of splendor came from Krishna. So acknowledging it and appreciating it, and at the same time understanding that it's nothing compared to Krishna's pastimes, I thought that was important as well.
What does the Srimad Bhagavatam say, though, about literature that doesn't describe the personality of Godhead?
Places of pilgrimage.
Yeah. At the same time, like anything, like when we bring in new people, when we encourage them, we don't just say, oh, nature, they're attracted to nature. We also acknowledge that, yes, you see nature, and that's the level that comes on. And we also bring that you try to see Krishna in that, like even alcohol. The drunkard tries to see Krishna in that, and gradually becomes purified. So, yeah, thank you for bringing up that point that it's nothing compared to Krishna's pastime. At the same time, we see that Shakti, or that strength, comes from Krishna.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Anything else? Any thoughts?
I was thinking about how powerful the Srimad Bhagavatam is, and that particular story of Narada Muni and his losing his mother. I had a similar experience as a child. One of my parents died at a young age, and for many, many years, probably 20 years after, there was like a grief or an angst within me. But in reading that book by Srila Prabhupada about Narada Muni and how the Lord was favouring him by giving him that circumstance, I physically felt like a knot unraveled in my heart. And years of angst and grief became resolved just in that description that Srila Prabhupada gave. So the Bhagavatam is a deeply healing literature.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
I believe the purport was talking about that. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but that Krishna made arrangement for the snakebird to come along, and the curse, and the snakebird to come along, Taksha, to bite Maharaj Parikshit, for him to get him out of the attachments of Grihastha life. But I was thinking of the example of Bharat, and the Bhagavatam describes that Maharaj Bharat gave up all his household attachments, wives, palaces, etc. Well, as if they were just like that, as if they were untouchable still. So wasn't Parikshit Maharaj the same, that he was, could have easily given that up, because he was, already a great devotee of Krishna, and fully realised.
So you're saying that probably wouldn't really need the whole arrangement. He could have just detached on his own will. Yeah, most likely. It's clearly it's definitely a past time that Maharaj Parikshit is like going through in a past time, just like Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, being bewildered and these things. And so Maharaj Parikshit is speaking like this, saying that he was out of fear only because of fear, that he's detaching from family life, not because of qualification of bhakti or something like that. It's the arrangement of the Lord, both like just for him to feel that way. Also, the situation is an arrangement of the Lord, and like in terms of like the Brahmana's curse, to get him detached, and also for him to feel this way. Also, so the Bhagavatam gets spoken. Yeah. Anything else? Nick?
Very nice work.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Also today is the anniversary of the appearance of Madhvacharya.
Oh, really?
Very important acharya in our line, where Brahma, Manda, Gaudiya, Sampradaya. And I just wrote something this morning myself about Madhvacharya. And basically, you can visit, I've been there a few times, through Udupi, in Karnataka and South India. And you can visit the actual birth home of Acharya. It's a little way out of Udupi. But Madhvacharya, a very important Acharya, and they said that he was incarnation of Vayu, and he specifically came to spread the dualism that there. Basically, his philosophy was this: Bhagavan Sri Krishna is the supreme absolute truth, one without a second. He is the object of knowledge and of in all of the Vedas. The universe is real, so he counteracted the prevailing philosophy of Sankaracharya. Sankaracharya, we were reading in Chaitanya Charitamrita, came for a specific purpose, and to bring people back to the Veda, and to do that he established a very appealing philosophy of monism, where the living entity, already in the conditioned state, I was talking about this the other morning, thinks he is the Lord of the world, but he's very limited. But Lord Shiva, in the form of Sankaracharya, presented a very appealing, alluring philosophy that plays to the ego of an individual, false ego, that not only are you a controller, but you are the supreme controller. So that's very alluring. One who becomes attached on the ego, the intellectual, egoistic level, very hard for that person. The Madhvacharya specifically came a little bit after, more like the 12th, 13th century. And dualism. There's Krishna, there's the living entity, and the Satya, the material world where the monks say it's illusion. No, it is real, but it's temporary. So these were the differences between Ishvara, God, Jiva, and matter are real. Jivas are by nature servants of the Supreme. There are two categories of jivas, liberated and illusion. Liberation, moksha means attaining the lotus feet of Bhagavan Krishna. Pure devotional service to Krishna is the only way to attain this liberation. The truth may be known by pratyaksha, direct perception, anuman, inference or logic, sabda, spiritual sound, and Vedic authority. So Madhvacharya, of course, he was a combination, and it's mentioned that he's a combination of Vayu, but his eternal rasa is Madhava in Krishna Lila. Madhavi Gopi in Krishna Lila. But he was very, very strong, and you see pain in him, very, very strong. And he took initiation at the age of 5, took sannyasa at the age of 12. And traveled all over, and went to visit Vyasadeva. He made a commentary on Bhagavad Gita. He wanted to do a commentary on Vedanta Sutra and so on. So he went to seek the blessings of Vyasadeva in the Himalayas. So he traveled there, and in those days there was no road or anything like now. You can take the road, the military road up to Badrikashram. But there was all this pathways, rocks, and very hard to turn. And he was accompanied by one brahmachari assistant, whom after a while, as they got to the Himalayas and going up, he told him to go back. He could see that it was just too difficult for the brahmachari, because he was like in the mood of Vaya, he was kind of like just jumping from rock to rock to rock, and the brahmachari was trying to keep up, and he said, no, don't try to follow me, just go back. And then brahmachari, no, I want to serve you. He was determined to keep up with him, but he couldn't do it. So there's one story where Madhvacharya, the sweep of his arm and his hand, he created a wind, and it blew this brahmachari all the way back to Udupi. He ended back in the ashram. So he was, anyway, he went on to meet Vyasadeva. He got the blessings of Vyasadeva. He presented his commentary about Vyasadeva and his blessings, and he did many other works that he composed, traveled all over India. Very, very important at the days. He said he's very physically strong. He said that even in his young age, because in that area, and the locals were telling me that not so long ago, there were a lot of tigers in that area. And still you have to be a little careful even today when you go out in the wooded areas there. So he was able to suppress the one tiger jump on the back of, I think, one of his associates, and he was able to separate this by his strength. And then there was this famous wrestler who was very famous and strong, and he challenged Brahmacharya to wrestle, but he wasn't interested in that. And he just, because the wrestler kept persisting. He said, all right, look, I'll put my toe down. If you can lift my toe off the ground, then I'll submit and I'll say that you defeated me. But the wrestler tried to get his toe, couldn't do it. So he was very physically strong, very advanced. And also, one time when he was there at Udupi, there was one boat that came and was having trouble navigating, and by his direction, he saved, there was a storm, and the captain was following his direction, and he saved the boat from being wrecked on the rocks. So the captain, out of gratitude, gave him one big gopi chanda. He said, well, whatever you want, I'll give to you, and I'm very grateful. He said, no, just give me that big piece of gopi chanda. So when he took it and broke open, and then there was a little deity of Gopal Krishna, little Krishna Gopal. So he installed that deity. When you go there, you can see the main temple there. It's called Udupi Krishna, and he's like in the form of a cow with a hole in his stick, and like that. So just thought I'd tell that story today because it's the anniversary of Brahmacharya. There's a lot more you can say about Brahmacharya. Many books have been written about him, but very important Vaishnava. And in Jiva Goswami, when he was especially in the Sandhavas, he would get a lot of information from Brahmacharya and his writings, and he compiling of his Sandhavas. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you for sharing, Maharaj. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande.